This is a size 14 Varavas curved shank barbless hook. I'm doing a thing like a dirty duster. It's an emerger, very, very simple emerger. Now I'm taking thread down to the bend, towards the bend, and I'm going to tie in a loop of a heavier thread. I'm using a very thin nano silk thread, 30 denier nano silk. And this is going to be the loop. This pure silk doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be pure silk. It's a coarser thread that's going to be a loop is tied in there, and that's going to be where the hackle goes onto that hook, onto that loop, which will then be stretched between the tie-in point and the eye once the hackle's wrapped around it. I take that back to the beginning of the thorax section, and then I run the thread back. Now I'm going to dub this, and I'm going to use the thread as the rib. So I'm going to take the thread back to the end of the body, then I'm going to skip back to the front and apply my dubbing. And that the reason for taking the thread all the way back is just as a marker. It's so I know when I'm heading. I've got a thin layer of it's a stuff called Beaver Plus. It's really nice. It's a fine, fairly short staple dubbing. Nice mixed stuff. So I'm going to wrap that back, nice and slim, and nice and shaggy as well. It's scruffy. Sort of dubbing, and I've mixed a couple of colours as well, and that's back to the base, back to the end of the body, pull off the remaining dubbing, and then spiral the thread forward, partly as security really. There is a bit of ribbing going on there, but more as a security. Now comes the gallows tool bit. I'm going to stretch the loop into catch it in the jaws or onto the clip of the gallows tool. The idea is it's held under tension, so I've got a firm post like thing to wrap my hackle around. It's not actually a post, but it does the same job. So I prepared a hackle. I'm using a ginger grizzle hackle, nice hackle. This is a neck hackle, if that's of any interest. I find neck hackles, because they're a little bit shorter and you're in quite confined spaces, I find it handy to use neck hackles rather than saddle hackles because they're so long. However, both work, and you can happily churn out flies both ways, both types of hackle. Just get it in focus. Now I'm going to wrap this so it's as flat as possible. I'm not too fussed, and I'm going up as reasonably quickly. I'm not trying to race up and down. And I cover a length of that loop, about the length to the eye, and then I'm going to wrap back down again. And you can see you can vary the length of the hackle. I think it benefits from having slightly longer than maybe the hook would normally have. I was using this as a parachute. And then I'm down to the hook and I trap it with the thread. I'm actually putting it in a pair of hackle pliers, and I can release the loop at this stage as well, so it's quite easy to move things out of the way and then pull it back, and the hackle's tied in against the stem, and then it makes a bit of a mess because you've got barbs facing forwards, but it's easy enough trimmed. So it's very securely tied in. There's no fiddling about trying to tie off at the bottom of the post or any of that stuff. And then pull everything back the reason for using a thread loop is it's flexible and it's thin. The flexibility means I can pull the whole thing back out of the way, prepare the thorax area, and dub it. I'm using the same dubbing. It's a sort of neutral. It's dark enough. I could use peacock. I could use a darker dubbing, but I'm just doing the simplest thing. I'm giving it a bit of a thicker wrap of dubbing, I think. Snug it up, pull everything back out of the way, and a few wraps of dubbing, and that's my thorax formed. I don't want that too firm or tight really, because the hackle is going to be pulled down over it, so I don't want a big ball. I just want a thorax shape that's going to let me settle the hackle into it. Now I'm going to snug down the hackle. Just open up the loop a wee bit and use a dubbing needle just to press down the hackle. It's actually quite nicely compacted, so I'm not fussed. But if it had gone a bit sparse and a bit long, this would push it down and just compact it a bit. Sweep everything back. It's like doubling it, but not quite. Sweep everything back so just the thread comes to the eye of the hook, and then a pinch and loop, and a second pinch, and then pull the thread, the loop of thread, and that's it, snugged down. And then again, draw everything back out of the way and tie down the thread firmly. This very, very fine thread makes a hell of a difference. You can really get in there. However, it is a slippery thread, so folding back the loop like this way just makes everything really secure. And then whip finish, and trim everything away. You've got to remember to trim away that loop of thread, obviously. And that's it. Now, I don't varnish the thread in this case, varnish the head in this case, but I would drop either super glue or varnish onto the head just to secure everything. Now, that's it. That's the fly tied. The profile it presents is as if you've, it's like you've clipped the hackle underneath the hook, but incredibly well. Nice fly, I think.